know that Excel has now Python built inside? This means that you can supercharge your data analysis and financial analysis, automate complex tasks, and uncover insights faster than ever before. I'm Christian Martinez, and in this video, we're going to cover 100 ways to use Python in Excel for FP&A. We will start with the basics, what Python is, how it works in Excel, and how this can be a game changer for financial planning and analysis professionals. Then, I will walk you through all of the use cases that are applicable for FP&A, covering data analysis, financial modeling, forecasting, machine learning, data cleaning, statistics, data visualization, and even time series analysis. By the end of this video, you will have a complete toolkit to elevate your finance game with Python in scale. So let's dive in. Let's start with what is Python. Python is a programming language known for its simplicity, power, and flexibility. It's widely used in finance, data science, automation, and even artificial intelligence. Python is already used in Wall Street trading firms, corporate finance teams, and even big tech companies for financial modeling and forecasting. But until now, integrating Python with Excel required installing extra add-ins or macros. But now, Microsoft has changed the game. Python is built directly into Excel, meaning that you can write Python code inside a cell, just like a formula, and execute powerful financial analysis right inside your Excel files. The only thing that you need to do is either go to formulas and insert Python or type equal py, and then this will create a Python formula. Now, before we start demonstrating all of these use cases for Python in FP&A, let's make sure that you have set up Python within your Excel. Now, I will be giving you some of my recommendations to get Python in Excel quicker. The first thing that you need to do is to make sure that your subscription for Excel in Windows is one of these ones in the screen, which are the current channel starting with version 2408 or the monthly enterprise channel starting also with the 2408. Now, it's also available in preview for family and personal users running this current channel on Windows. One main thing is that as for today, Python in Excel is not available online or in Mac computers, just on PCs. If you have one of these qualifying Microsoft subscriptions, then this is what you need to do in order to use Python Excel. The first thing is just to open a blank workbook, then to go to formulas in the ribbon, and the third one, just select insert Python in here. Now, I will be giving you this file that I'm showing you in the screen with this link on Python in Excel availability. And you can get the latest news from Microsoft where it becomes available in other versions of Excel or even in Mac. But now, let's go to the guide for Excel. Now, I wanted this guide to be something very practical for all of you and based on real use cases of FP&A and finance. So for that, one of the main things that we need to have is data. Now, I started this data set for FP&A with columns like date, revenue, cost of goods sold, operating expenses, interest expense, etc., etc. I recommend you to first start using this same dataset in order to make sure that you understand all of these new Python formulas and syntax, and then you can replace it with your own data. I will be giving you the link at the end of the video to where you can download this exact dataset and this exact file so that you can follow along. Now, for the actual demo, the first thing that you need to know is to start with this particular one. That is to read data from an Excel table. Now, the first thing that you need to do, and I have already done it, is to copy this part, and then you can do either in a new tab or in the same one that I'm using, the demo, and insert it. So I have done it already in here, but let me demonstrate. So you will need to do equal py, open brackets, and then paste what I copied. Basically, in here, we are naming a data frame called df, and then we are selecting our data from A1 to Q101. Now, I want to demonstrate one other way to exactly do the same thing in case that you want to use your data. So let's say that you already tap equal py, and then in the data set, then you will do is go there and select all of your data. So for me, will be exactly the same thing as I copied before. So the A1 to Q101. And now I want you to place your mouse in front of the Excel Python formula and then do df space equal space and then the formula. And then in order to run this formula, instead of just enter, you will do control enter. Now, when you do that, at first it will appear as busy, the cell, and then you will have the word data frame in there. If you have that, then congratulations. You have already run your first Python in Excel code. Now, if it didn't work, then I'll be also adding a troubleshooting guide for you in the comments. And feel free to comment below in the video in case it didn't work, and I'll try to help you out as well. But now let's continue from this step. So now let's try a few of the different formulas that I'm giving you, and I will be explaining them, what you can do with them. So as for now, we have already loaded our data into this thing called data frame, this structure. But what exactly can you do with that? Well, the first thing that I want to demonstrate is this formula to preview data. So again, same thing, I will be just copying what I wrote in there. And then if we put it in the cell B5, again, it will be equal py, open brackets, and then paste what I put. What this will do is create another data frame, but just to show the headers of the first one. Now, for you, at first, it will appear as data frame in here. Now, there are several ways that Python in Excel can showcase their results. One is just a word like data frame or image. Another one will be an array of data. That is the one that we will be doing right now. And another one could be images as well. Now, for the array of data, what you will need to do is to right-click and then navigate to Python output and then put Excel value. What this will do is to create this array of data, so this different data set. And as I was mentioning, this formula of Python Excel of head for headers, it will show all of the headers of the columns and then all the first 5 rows of data. Now, this is handy, especially whenever you have a very large data set and then you just want to see the beginning of it. But what about if your data is really big and then what you want is to see what columns you have in your file? Well, for that, I'll give you the number 5 called list column names, that is the formula columns. We will do exactly the same thing as we did before. So I will go to back to that page, equal py, and then I will paste what I have from there, the df columns. What this will do is, again, it will appear something here, now this one called index, but then when I right click and then Python as Excel value, then it's showing me the columns that I have until now, the 17 columns. Now, you could do this with normal Excel formulas, but it will take you a little bit longer, especially whenever it's many column names. That's why I feel that this one is quite handy. Now, let's do the next one. So go back, and now another one that you can do with Python Excel is filter data, like in a pivot table. Now, the benefit of having this is that in this case, I'm going to copy first the formula, and I'll do equal py again. In this case, I'm naming a new data frame called df filter, and I want all of the results where the revenue is higher than 180K. So I'll do Control Enter. Again, it will appear as a data frame. And then what you will do is right click, Python output, and Excel value, and you will only see the rows that have revenue higher than 180,000. Now, one benefit of this is that these rows are even numbered for us. So we know that the number 1 is like that, we know the number 2, number 7, and so on. So for example, this one, that is number 1, if we go to our data set, then we will see that it's the first row as well, for the revenue of 196. This one. Now, one thing to note, and this one for Python is 1, because the first one is 0. So let's say if I'll do now, in here, you can also edit this code. So for example, now if we want just above that 170,000, then I will do that, and it will start, as you can see here, now with the row 0, which is the first row in our dataset. So this one. Now, let's do one more example. In here, I have put a couple of other formulas that you can use now for data cleaning, transformation, and so on. So let's imagine that we want to create a new column. So right now in our data set, we have the 17 columns, and the last one is return on equity, but we don't have gross margin. So let's say that we want to add that gross margin. So I'll just copy the formula again, and what I will do is equal py, open, copy, and what this will do is create a new column called gross margin into our data frame. Now, the way we can test that and see is either if we put, again, equal py, and then we just put either df, it will show the whole data, or df head, but let's just do this one, which is different. Control Enter, again, data frame, and then when I go to Python output and then Excel value, then you will see, we go all the way to right, that now we have gross margin in here, which we didn't have before. Now, I want to demonstrate one of my favorite ones, and is the function describe. Now, the reason why this is one of my favorite ones is because a lot of times when examining financial data, what I used to do is to start knowing some statistics about the data. So which, let's say in this case, which date or which category, which business unit had the highest revenue, the lowest, Then I wanted to do things like variances, like standard deviation, or also to know what are the operating expenses on the or the interest expense that were higher or lower than the 25th percentile, for example. Now, if you want to do all of that, you can do it with formulas in Excel. But when you use Python with just this simple structure, you will have everything in seconds. And again, it's equal py, open brackets, I paste that, and the function is called describe. Now, again, it will be creating first the data frame. So I right click and then our Excel value, and you will see how in seconds I have the count of the column. So in most of them would be 100. What's the mean or average, the minimum, the 25th, 50th, 75th percentile, the maximum, and the standard deviation. There's an error in here, for example, because there cannot be a standard deviation in a date. But everything else in all of my columns, now I have all of these basically statistics. Now, if we just want to have, let's say, the standard deviation, then we can do it also one by one in case that we need to use this value for something else. Minimum or max, same thing, or even a correlation matrix. Now, I have added a few financial formulas as well. And the ones that I want to show now are data visualizations. So in data visualizations that are here, we have a couple of options that we want to see. Now, let's say that we want to create a histogram for profit margin. So again, just copy this part, and I'll do equal py. Now, in here, instead of a data frame, we will create an image. So it will appear an image, the word image in there. Now, in here, now, if I right click and then I go to picture in cell, then I can create reference, and what will create is basically this image of the histogram of that particular value that we selected, profit margin. Now, this image, this graph is fully customizable, and I will be demonstrating that in a moment. You can add or subtract the y-axis, x-axis names, the color, titles, and so on and so on. For that, I want to demonstrate another one, which is this heat map. So let's say that we want to do a heat map of a correlation matrix. Now, the actual code for that is just this one that you can use. But in case that you want to customize it a little bit more, then I have in this bonus section another code. So I'll just copy that, and again we do equal py, and then paste that. Equal py and brackets, and then paste that. And then control enter. What will this create is a correlation matrix of all of these variables. And the things that I have added is basically to adjust the size of the image to make it legible, all of the values. So I go to picture and cell, create reference, and again, in a matter of seconds, we have seen a correlation matrix from all of these variables. Now, I have a couple more options in here, like pie charts, scatter plots, and so on. This one, that is just a scatter plot, again, control equal py, open brackets. And this will create a scatter plot for you. Now, I have demonstrated already quite a few of these different formulas that I'm giving you here. So I encourage you to try them all, as I was mentioning, first with the same dataset that I showcased, and then you can also try with your own data. Now, on top of that, I have a couple more bonus for you. So in here, the next tab that I have is one tab to create a more advanced use case. So this monthly financial distribution of actuals and forecasts, and the code to create that is here. So again, you just need to copy this code and then add it in here. Let's say copy Y and enter it. And then do Control Enter to create this image. Now, this is the first bonus that I want to give you. The second one is to create a cohort analysis. Now, I'll be giving you in the links below another video where I demonstrated exactly how to create this analysis. But again, I want to give you the code and the dataset so that after you try all of these 100 use cases, then you can try a more advanced use case as well. And that's just the beginning of all the things that you can do with Python in Excel. Now we covered data cleaning and transformation, financial modeling and forecasting, advanced visualizations, and even cohort analysis. Remember that with Python in Excel, the possibilities are endless. Now, if you found this useful, please hit like and subscribe to my channel for more finance and Python tutorials. Thank you and see you next time.